Welcome to Have You Read Any Good Books? I'm Mavis Applewater, and this is Author Chat. This week we have award-winning author Nat Burns. Nat, in her own words, says that her life has been devoted to the written word, and she's proven that by writing in several different genres. She has covered speculative fiction, science fiction, poetry, and contemporary romance. Nat is a force to behold. And now, Nat Burns. Hello, Nat.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's so funny. I just talked to you yesterday.
Well, we're friends too, so that's
Yeah.
good.
It's pretty much anyone you've seen recently on this show. Yeah, I know them. And that's
Yes.
who I hit up first to do. Hey, I'm doing a show. Come join me. So if anyone else would like to start a lit YouTube channel, go to the people you know first. Or ask one
Yes,
of us. We're
easy.
very friendly,
We are that.
We really are. Nat Burns, the author of, I want to say, 20 books.
Actually, I counted them up at 17
Okay.
total, but I've been in about 25 anthologies. So,
Anthologies. Yeah.
yeah.
And you write contemporary romance, speculative fiction. It's always struggle with that. Speculative fiction.
Hmm.
You have a Goldie for that.
I do.
Yep.
The Book of Eleanor,
Yes. See?
which actually started out as being about um, uh, the one who, I can't think of her name now. The woman who wrote all that cryptic fiction back in the 40s. And she had a lover, Alice Toklas.
Oh, Gertrude Stein.
Thank you. Thank you. It went right out of my head. It's one of
Well,
those days.
no, we're getting there
That,
at that point. It's like, what did I come into this room for?
it's the age thing, we're
Uh,
experienced and wise. Anyway, I was going to write this book about this woman who was haunted by the ghost of Gertrude Stein. And then I thought, maybe not, because I don't want to cause any trouble. So I made it a haunting about another author. So it's,
oh,
it's
given
fun. It
what I
was
know
fun.
about Gertrude Stein, she would probably rise from her grave and go, "Well done."
Oh, I don't know. She might rise from her grave and say, "Take it back."
How dare you? But you
How
also
dare.
also write poetry.
I do.
Gospel.
Erotic.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Do you know that's a journal I kept?
I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It
knew
was
it
a
was a
journal.
I knew it was a collection of erotic poetry. It was 10 years ago. I
Yeah.
want to say
Yeah. I
10.
was in a torrid relationship with an alcoholic, and it was a very
Mm-hmm.
difficult time. So I started like writing down all this stuff that the way I wish it could be, or the
Mm-hmm.
way that it was, and so back and forth between those two things. And it's interesting, it's divided up into three parts: Genesis, Psalms, and Revelation,
Wow.
like based on biblical overtures. And so the first part, the two women meet and fall in love, and it's that
Right.
that journey. And then the middle of Psalms is like the hot erotic stuff, and then the last part is breaking up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. I remember it happening. So we've known each other
Don't
a
we
long.
all? You live to be our age, you have a few. Hmm.
You have released two books this year, or
I have.
or is the third one out? Oh, I'll
It'll
get
be
to
out.
that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Rosemary.
I actually did one. I self-published one, which I'm not used to doing. I work with three different publishers, and this particular book didn't fit into any of the paradigms that these publishers offered. So it's a back in the 80s. This is a convoluted thing. Back in the 80s, I worked with the Small Press Writers and Artists Organization, and during
Yes.
that time, we had story. I had stories, and other people. We worked as a collective. We all had stories published internationally. And these are some of those stories that were published. And I talk
Mm-hmm.
in the author's note at the beginning about that wonderful experience of my life, being able to work with this writing collective all over the world. And we would send one another manuscripts to look at, and they read
Wow.
and edit. We would but we had our own magazine, we had like a newsletter, and then we were in all this huge body of work, these magazines that were out there, the pulp magazines of the 80s.
I
And we were
love
in
when
there.
I'm talking to someone and they jump right ahead of my notes for me.
I'm so
Yes.
sorry.
Yes. No,
I'll,
that
I'll,
worked out great because I was going to ask you about the
mhm.
small
Ask
press
away.
writers. Yes, organization, and it folded. It's funny to say back in the 80s.
I know. I know. It makes me feel ancient, but that's okay.
Ah, no, seasoned.
There you go.
Rosemary was
Yes.
is what, book two in the Desert Willow
Yes.
series,
Yeah. And there's
and
going to be a third, and that's it.
well, three is a great number for
Yeah.
books. I feel it is.
It's a trilogy. I can't go any farther. I now have somehow have to make the aliens that they helped in book two get mad and come back and become another disaster.
What gets it into yet another genre you're into, sci-fi.
Yes, I love
Is it
sci-fi.
is it still called sci-fi?
I think so. Sci-fi, paranormal. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
We'll see.
Stepping Through also
Hmm.
released this year,
Hmm.
which we have some artwork. Oh, back behind
Yes,
me.
I'm excited about that. It just came out in September, I think.
Yeah, we have been talking about we have been talking because, like you said, we do know each other. Yes. Tell us about Stepping Through.
Okay, well, as I said, it was done during the SPUEO, it's Small Press Writers and Artists Organization, SPUEO. Back in the 80s, some friends and I got together and we had a group of writers that we had met like at different conferences. Like we used to go to Rovacon, which is Roanoke, Virginia Sci-Fi Convention and sci-fi and speculative. Anyway, we met there and we decided to create this collective, small press collective thing, because there were so many magazines out during that time. Like, Ellery Queen's Mystery Magazine, for
Oh,
example.
okay. That I
Fantasy
was.
and science
Yeah.
fiction was out. There's so many of them. If you open my portfolio, there they all are. Anyway, so we had this group, and what it was males, females, and a lot of the females wrote with male pseudonyms because it
Right.
was hard in sci-fi to get published as a female back then. Um, do you know that Elizabeth Massey, who lived in Waynesboro, Virginia, she was in it.
Oh,
And
okay.
and she was one of the few that wrote under her real name, and she did pretty well with it. And now she's
Yeah.
famous. But so anyway, what we would do is we would have these back then you had to do telephones. There was no video thing. So we would have these phone calls
And they
and
were
we would
attached to the wall. The phones were on the
exactly
wall,
exactly. And they had dials. No,
and they had
I think they
dials.
were push buttons back then. Anyway, so we would write copious letters. I mean, the letters, just letters and letters and letters. And somebody would send out a snippet of a manuscript to the whole group by mail and say, what do you think of this? And then we would all respond by mail what we thought of it. It was slow, it was cumbersome, but whenever somebody had a publishing moment, a publication that took one of their stories, we all celebrated.
Awesome.
We had champagne, we just got on the phone with one another, we wrote these letters of congratulation. It was an interesting time. So anyway, the stories that are in Stepping Through, and it's like 80,000 words, so it's not huge.
Oh,
It's bigger than my usual books.
no, that's up there. Yeah.
It's stories that talk about stepping out of reality and into something else, just for a little while.
Yeah.
Like there's this one woman who is in an abusive relationship with her husband, but her mother built her this incredible bathroom so she could escape her husband.
Right.
And in that bathroom, she found a secret doorway to an alien ship.
Oh, there
And
you
so
go.
she fell in love with the person manning the alien ship. And so every evening she would, after her husband would pass out or whatever from drinking, she would go into this room and be with that person on the ship.
Wow.
I mean, it's silly kind of things like that. But back then it was all the rage to write these kind of things. They were very Twilight Zone based. There's a woman a real estate agent who walks by this house all the time, and she sees this turret. And one day she sees people diving off the turret and disappearing into the ground. And so she sees this a couple of days, and finally she feels compelled to go into the house to see what's going on. And she's peeling off her clothes as she walks through the house in this line of people that are peeling off their clothes. And they get up to the top where the turret is, the
No,
tower,
no
and they
spoilers. No
And
spoilers.
well, they perch on the end of that and dive off, and
There
she's
you
one
go.
of them.
Okay,
So
I think Stepping Through is a must read then. That's a
I
must.
enjoyed it.
Well, and it's also you like I said, you're not only a variety of genres,
Hmm.
um, which a lot of the authors I'm speaking to delve into. Some
Hmm.
are strictly like Susan Maher. Recently, we spoke with her, and she is, I mean, very hot, steamy contemporary romance. I
Hmm.
mean, she does
Oh yeah,
great. Yeah.
she's great.
But you're also in the unique position because most writers are with a publisher.
Hmm.
You're with three.
Hmm.
And you're like, oh, yeah, of course I am. Uh,
Well, you
uh,
want to hear my theory on that?
yeah, go right ahead
Quick
because
theory. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
You mean
No,
okay?
it's all about you, Nat.
Thank you. Um, Makes my heart warm. Anyway, I believe that it's not the when you go in Barnes and Noble and you see a book, you see the
Hmm.
name of the book and the author, right? The publisher is only on the interior front matter or on the back of the book at the very bottom in small print, like Simon and Schuster.
Right.
On the front, it's like, book titles by Stephen King. King
Hmm.
is the talent. And I believe that publishers are are supporters of us. This sounds egotistical, but it's not. But us as the talent, we're the producers. We produce the books. And I think that's why a lot of people are going to self-publishing now is because they realize they're creating a brand for themselves.
Hmm.
Like Jana DeLeon. She is one of my favorite authors in the whole wide world.
Very talented.
She just makes me laugh uncontrollably. I have woken Chris up many a night laughing. Anyway, um, so she is the talent. And it doesn't matter, like she just signed a what do you call it? Harlequin contract to
Hmm.
start writing romances for Harlequin. So
Oh, wow.
she did self-publishing for a long time. Now she's going to write for Harlequin, and I believe she would write for somebody else if they came along because she's the talent, not the publisher.
Well, in the old days, when you were with the publisher,
Hmm.
you either had to get permission. Well, you still usually have to ask
Oh
first.
yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah. And it is unusual. You are with Flashpoint Publications, which
Hmm.
was Regal Press. So you've been
Hmm.
with them for a while. Desert Palm Press and Bella
Hmm.
Books, which is a heavy hitter in lesbian romance. It
Oh
really
yeah,
is.
I love Bella. I love Karen Callmaker. When I got on, she was the editorial director, and she called me up to tell me they had accepted my book, and she starts telling me the story like I didn't write it, and she's laughing at this one scene where the horse eats the tires on the bike, and she's just laughing uproariously and had me laughing, and then and finally she says we're going to publish that, and
Well, how amazing is it to get a call from Karen Coleman?
oh, it was great.
I mean,
It was great. She's a doll baby.
and those of you who don't know who she has written a lot of amazing, speaking of contemporary romances.
Oh,
I
she
mean,
is.
back in
Yeah.
the days when we couldn't get married, they were and our books were not mixed in with other books. And that's a big change in the industry. You go in now and you can find your books mixed in.
Hmm.
And before we were in the small little sections or in an LGBTQA
Sure.
plus, yeah, store. It
Yeah,
was,
bookstore. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, which I miss. I
I
believe
know.
Sharis is still around. I was talking to someone recently. Sharis in Atlanta is still around. So
Oh, cool.
yes, I love them. And
Yeah.
now, but different genres, different publishers, and the ability to explore those realms
Hmm.
must give you a certain freedom as a writer.
It
Now,
does. And I hadn't really had any plans to publish with Desert Palm, but Lee Fitzsimmons, the publisher there, came up
mhm.
to me and she said, I need a horror book. Will you write me a horror book? That's right down my alley because of
Oh,
Swaya. So
yeah.
yeah, I wrote her a book.
Nat,
Russell
if you're not doing anything, could you please write it?
like I had
And I
nothing
could
else on
see
my
Lee
plate.
doing that too. Lee
Oh yeah.
Fitzsimmons doing that.
Oh yeah. And now she wants a sequel, so I've got to come
Of
up with a
course she
sequel.
does.
Yeah, of course she does.
Well, she's not an idiot. She's
I
very
know.
bright, smart.
I like horror. I like writing horror. The one I wrote for La Russell Leaves is a serial killer, and you don't expect uh, what happens in the book. And so, yeah, I really had a good time writing it.
And the name of that book is?
The Rustle of Leaves.
Okay, yes, I have that.
Good Halloween choice.
Yes. Okay, so for those of you looking for something in that genre to put in a stocking or to kick back and relax, holiday reading, very important, because people suddenly, once all the hoopla's done, we have to sit back and read something and just
Oh,
take
yeah.
time for ourselves. Now,
Relaxation.
you have a new one, which is what, due out any day or
Yeah, I got to have it into them by February 1st. It'll come out in June.
in
It's
June?
called Pony Dakota. Very weird name, but it fits the book. So that's what I'm working on now. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, so I should have it done in time.
And what genre would this be?
That is just a romance. Like my first book that I had published with Bella was
Mm-hmm.
called 2 Weeks in August, and that
Two
was
weeks.
just a simple, contemporary
Mm-hmm.
romance, and it did really well. People love
Older
contemporary romance.
woman, younger woman, right? Am I
So
remembering that correctly?
yeah, exactly, yes, a
Mhm.
little bit older, younger. Anyway, the this particular book, after Rosemary, which I had to study quantum physics for like 6 months to write that book. I was done. I was like, I'm not going to write the third book yet. I need a break.
Mhm.
This physics is tough. So I said, I'm going to go back to my roots and write a nice contemporary romance. And that's what this is. Just a
Um,
sweet story.
well, I'm a big fan of romance personally.
Good. I hope
I
you enjoy it when it comes out.
oh good. No, but you also see I have
That'll be
notes
through Bella. That'll be through Bella,
through
by the way.
Bella. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Also I have notes, so I remember to ask things.
You go right ahead, my dear. I'm here.
Oh no, we covered it. You just like you did this for me.
I know. I just blabber on. That's what I do,
No, no. And I said, when I talk to Nat, it'll be great because she'll talk.
No shyness here, I don't think.
No, no. And it helps. It's something I say almost everyone before I start recording is we've known each other a long time. It's just us talking.
Yes, exactly. Good
It's just
friends, just talking
talking.
over a cup of coffee.
In the intro I did for you. Oh yes, I have my coffee here.
Yes, me
Yes.
too. Love it. Love coffee.
Coffee, good. That I'm allowed my advanced years. So this is
Everything's
I
good.
have a quote from you, and I used it in my little intro on you. My life has been devoted to the written word.
Hmm. It
Uh,
has. It has. It started when I was about 10 or 11. I still have actually this copy of a little like dog-eared notebook that I wrote this horror novel in called The Haunted Mansion. And it's in my little 11-year-old girl's curly script because I wrote it by hand, of
yeah,
course.
of course.
And so I scanned it and kept it. I should post that on Facebook. I think it'd be fun. But it's about this child who, kind of like the Casper story. This child moves into a house with her parents and
Right.
meets this ghost. She's very lonely because her parents are busy, busy. And so she meets this ghost and they become inseparable. And anyway, that's what it's about.
That's adorable.
But yeah, well, it's cute because I have all these little loops and little hearts over the eyes. So anyway, when I was 11, also, I wrote these poems, and my mother knew about my proclivity for writing. She kind of fostered it, and she sent in three of my poems to a magazine called Highlights. It's a children's
Highlights. Yeah, it's still
magazine.
around.
Yeah, yeah. And so they published those three stories. I've been looking for a copy of it, but it's so long ago. I mean,
Right.
70, maybe 1970, maybe 1969. So yeah, I can't find it. But I do have the poems because I still have the copies that I kept.
Right.
So it's like, oh, a cat with big, beautiful eyes. What a surprise. It's silly. But that was me at 11 years old. And so my mother sent them in and they got published. And that kind of gave me some impetus to keep going with it. I just love creating stories. I would tell lies all the time because it would be more fun to lie than to tell the truth. Like, well, what happened to your dress? Well, I was outside and this dog came along, this huge dog, and tumbled me to the ground and tore my dress, and that's why it's dirty. and there's no dog. It's just me. Not many people can lie for a living, but
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. My our surrogate granddaughter, you
oh,
hear me
yes.
talk about the bean all the
The
time,
bean. I love the bean.
asked me one day, Nunny, what is it you do for your job? And I said, I sit around and make stuff up.
What did she say to that?
No, really, what do you do?
She didn't even believe you. That's so cute.
And
That's so
then
cute.
one day we were going to a con, I think it was the Albuquerque, and I had all the books out. And she goes, well, can I read anything? No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
no.
no. Too young. Too
You
young.
want, no, I don't really, even after you turn 18, please don't.
I know it's kind of embarrassing when people read your love scenes and things, kind of things. It's like, does she do that? I don't know.
Well, one of my nephews, who is a grown adult, reads my stuff. I know he does because he
Mhm.
follows it. He's Brad. I'm gonna mention him.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And I try not to think about it. And I know
yeah,
his brother read The Brass Ring when that came out, and
yeah.
well, yeah, I
It is what it is.
just don't tell Auntie. Just Auntie really doesn't need to know that you read her books.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go. Just keep it to yourself. I think my daughter read a few of my first ones, and the only thing she ever said to me was, "Mom, you use too many big words." Like what? What? You're not commenting on the story or anything, just the
Too
big
many big
words.
words.
So anyway, that
Uh,
was my comment from the peanut gallery.
yeah, well, critiques come
Yeah,
and they do.
I
Uh,
guess it's a good enough one.
my mother was, and it's interesting you mentioned, had mentioned when my first publisher did released one of my short stories, and she's part of it was like from Whispering Pines, and
Huh.
she said, "You get your sense of humor from me." Now, I spent most of my life hearing, "Em, you're not being funny,"
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and now I get my sense of
Now,
humor. Yeah.
so your true self came out in your book. Your true
No, I thought it was pretty entertaining all around. According to my mom, though, I get it from her, or
Oh, there
she
you
used
go.
to. Yeah, she's gone.
Yeah, taking the
But
credit.
definitely. But I think it's great that your mom sent your story, poetry into highlights. That's
Yes, she did. And my grandmother was very supportive. One time I didn't have enough money. This was when I lived at the commune. I didn't have enough money to buy a contest entry. And she gave me the check. She gave me like I don't know, 25, $50, whatever it was, to enter this writing thing. So my family, my maternal family has always been very supportive of it. Paternal, not so much, but the maternal, yes.
have drastically different backgrounds. Your parents, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because
yeah.
your dad is
A
Native
rabid
American,
Christian, Native
but
American.
Native American and Christian,
Yeah.
which just shouldn't go together.
Yeah, he's a Jerry Falwell Christian, which really surprised me when I finally got back. My mother died when I was 13, and so I
Oh,
had to leave and go live with my father in another part of the country, Virginia. And it was quite a culture shock, very much so, because I wasn't raised Christian. So, yeah,
wow, that must have been,
yeah,
yeah,
it was weird. It was very weird.
jarring.
Yeah,
And
glad that's over.
future writers, I guess we can. A little advice is you're just going to look back on this as research,
Totally,
and
totally.
putting your words down is cheaper than therapy.
And it's better than therapy
And
because
it's
these therapists look at you like, what? But in the books you can be say whatever you want. Like in Pony Dakota, I've got a couple things in there that are politically not correct, but they fit the character.
right.
They fit her as a character. And so, I left it in.
Yeah.
We'll see what kind of flack I get back.
Well, editors will have a lot to say. Speaking of which,
That is true.
that is one of your other hats that you wear. You are
Oh,
an
yes.
editor for, well, I know my publishing company, you know.
Yes. Yes. I've added for
Someone
you.
mentioned you recently. Shane Curry, yes.
Yeah. I did
Um,
her as a private edit. I edited for Flashpoint. Um, I really haven't applied to edit at Bella because they have such a big, and I just don't have the time, to
and
do more than,
talented editing staff as well. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so Affinity, I edited for them for many, many years. And I finally just said, I need more time to write. And so I backed off of that, but I still do Flashpoint. And I still do private editing. I
Yeah,
edit for a local guy here who writes. And I used to edit for this publishing company in Virginia. And that's where I got my training because I'm what's called a commercial editor, which means
right.
I make your book readable and presentable. And I do
Hmm.
line edits too, but the main focus is having enough white space, having enough the way the book flows, so that the reader's eye isn't taken away from what you're trying to convey.
I'm looking at your resume right now. The way you were talking, I'm like, I just could skip over all that. Thank you. But you also, Badger Bliss, you've edited for them as
Yes,
well.
I've edited for them. Yes, I do. Yep.
Wow.
Kieran's books are just, yeah, you interviewed her. I can't wait to watch that, but
Oh,
her
yes,
book's
she's great.
amazing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the, like I said, I called the people I know.
Exactly.
I,
I actually, Chris and I are thinking about going to Vermont next year and
oh,
visiting
visiting them?
Leaves. Yeah, and so we're excited about that. We're going to take the train,
Mm,
which takes longer, but it's such a fun experience. We've done it before many
yeah.
times.
And
So
Vermont, and depending what time of year you go, is great.
September, October, that transition from September to October. That's when they say is the
Beautiful.
best time to come.
It's beautiful. I actually spent a summer up in Vermont, and
Oh, I bet you love that. A summer though, but I bet it was nice and green
well, it
and
was summer
pretty.
stock.
Yeah.
People who live in the South or Florida mostly, this
Mm-hmm.
is where they go in the summer.
Because a little
That's
cooler.
why there's several theater companies up there. It's nice.
Yep.
It's cool for them, and it's
Mm-hmm.
getting out, and that's where you'll find a lot of summer stock.
Right. And they call them the snowbirds there as
Snowbirds.
well as in North Carolina they call them snowbirds.
And in the
So
winter, you can go to like Naples, Florida, and see theater down there called
uh-huh.
winter stock.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
actors
And
keep
theater
moving.
is such a creative way to really emote and to learn how to really emote well, and it helps writers.
It does help already.
If you do some theater stuff, it really helps you as a writer, I think.
Just don't plan on eating on a regular basis, and
Oh, no,
no,
no, there's no money in it. There's
it's
very
it's
little
like
money in
writing.
writing too.
There's no money here,
Yeah.
and accept that. Don't go in it for monetary reasons.
No, do it for the love, which I do. I
Yes.
love what I do. In fact, I get these stories and they wake me up in the middle of the night and they won't go away. So, I've had characters wake me up and say, I did not want to do that. I need to do this. And so you
Wow.
have to go and change the manuscript because the character told you that it had to be changed.
Now, do you find that? Yeah, that was my next. They characters can lead you in a completely different direction.
Yes, they're very strong. People don't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah, and it's. Do you find going? But that's not the story. Oh, okay.
I know. My plotting, what does that matter?
All those notes behind you do not matter.
Right, exactly. You see my writing board.
I see
These
your
are my
writing
my
board.
characters in Pony Dakota. This is BB and this is Emma. So
it
yeah,
it almost looks like Yvonne DiCarlo back there.
it is.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And the redhead, I don't know who she is, but anyway, I just got her out of a magazine or
She
something.
was
But yeah,
adorable.
Yvonne Carlo looks like BB, or BB looks like Yvonne
Oh,
Carlo.
nice. Yeah, I do that. You have a clear picture of what your characters look like, and
Yes, it helps, I think, because you can. I mean, I changed BB slightly, but yeah, it really does help you focus. And I turn around, look at them sometimes, and say, "What are you going to do next?"
yeah,
And I won't say they talk to me, but they do. So
yeah.
there you go.
No, feel free to say it. I mean,
Yeah, well, I'm a writer. I
you're
have
right.
literary license.
You have every reason to talk to your characters.
I do. I do.
Yeah.
It makes them more fun.
And I think a good suggestion for writers is to have that space where you're able to work. Because sometimes if you are yelling at your characters, it's less noticeable.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the pod. This is my pod. And I've got all my reference books up here.
I was looking
The
at those,
fiction's in
and
another room. These are all reference.
that's just
Uh,
reference. So, yay!
I
It's
know.
so amazing.
Yeah, I love books. What can I say?
Oh, they're a wonderful thing. If not for books, none of us would be here right now, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So you gotta love them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're your thing. I
And
love writing these stories and just taking people, my readers. I call them flames, by the way, my flames. with me to, Nat Burns flames. Anyway, I take them with me to another place another time, and they get to kind of experience. I hope I write well enough to have them experience what my characters are going through, and they have an affinity with my characters. It's very important to me that that happens.
Well, now that you have, give me the name of the new one again.
Pony Dakota.
Pony Dakota. Uh,
Yep, through
we look,
Bella.
Bella, we look forward to in June-ish,
Yeah, before
uh,
con.
before the con,
Yeah.
which is in Minneapolis this year.
Yep, July.
Which, if you don't know what we're talking about, the Gold Crown Literary Society,
Hmm.
which runs an amazing mentoring program.
They do.
This is the
Yeah.
main goal of the society. Uh, Also throws a con every year.
Yeah. And the writers go and we learn new things and we
Meet
share
people.
our knowledge and our books, and it's a really wonderful experience.
Now, that's in editing. So, what are you working on now? What can we look forward to after that?
Pony is probably, well, to tell you the truth, I have this book called Progressive Proof that
Mhm.
I've been working on for about a year now. And it's about this woman who was in a cult, and how her life, how when she falls in love, it's also a romance. When she falls in love, how that is healed in her. So it's kind of a, character starts this way and ends
Yeah.
this way. And the two characters, Esme and North. North is a journalist, a reporter in a small town, and
Mhm.
Esme moves there to build a home and have a life there. And so anyway, it's the interaction between the two of them. And I've already gotten probably 50,000 words written, and they haven't had their first kiss. So I'm a little worried about that. I've got to go back and fix that. But that's probably going to be next, Progressive Proof, another romance. And then after that will be the third in the Desert Willow series, the
So,
final.
and does it pick up right after Rosemary or?
It will, yes. Yeah, I'll give you a little tickler. There's a
Okay,
death.
yay.
Well, there's a death, and yeah, and didn't like doing that, but it had to be for the story. So
Okay, sad face now.
yeah, I know. It's very sad, but it turns out to be another heroic effort, saving the planet from the bad grays,
Okay.
the little stubby things that look like slimy fish.
Now, I have to say, you certainly offer a little bit for everyone.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I
I
want
mean,
to.
yeah, I know it's just science fiction and speculative fiction, which is
Mhm.
more paranormal,
Yep.
ghosts and stuff.
And
So,
I'd like to continue with that. I'd like to write more in that genre.
yeah. And it's interesting because that term hasn't been around that long.
Hmm.
So we just should just say paranormal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think GCLS needs to have a paranormal category and a sci-fi. Now they're
And
kind of lumped together, so it'd be
yeah.
nice to see that separate um, in their awards thing, whatever they do. So
And that, yes, they do honor authors, and you have a couple goldies, right?
just one. I've been
Just
nominated
one.
like two or three times, but yeah, I
Okay.
just got
And
the one.
so, oh, so you and I share the whole paranormal.
Yeah, we do.
I told you about that. It's like it looks like Nell Stark is taunting me with it.
I know. I know. That's so funny.
I'll send you the picture because if
I
those
would
of you
love to see it.
don't know, Nell Stark is a talented author, or I don't know if she really because she's doing her real day gig now.
Mhm.
But she's extremely tall.
Yeah,
She's
and thin.
and thin, tall drink of water,
Yeah,
and I'm shrinking. So
we
it
all
looks like she's holding the award up, like taunting me with it. Like, come, keep away.
are. You can't have it, even though you want it. You can't have it.
Oh, it was, because I love Nell. It was so great to receive from her.
Yeah.
It's like,
But the
oh,
biggest award I've ever gotten from my books, I'll tell you. I've won a lot of little awards, over time, Writer's Digest, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, the biggest was I was in a Barnes and Noble in Virginia one time,
mhm.
and a woman came up to me, and I was signing a book for somebody. It was House of Cards,
House of Cards. Okay.
and that's a book about domestic abuse and how this woman overcame it and fell in love. And most people don't like that book because of the domestic abuse, but it's got a happy ending. Come on. Anyway, so she came up to me and she goes, "Oh, you're Nat Burns?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I'm Nat Burns. Nice to meet you. You know, what's your name?" And she said, "Oh, my name's something." And she said, "But I got to go get my girlfriend. You got to meet my girlfriend." And so she went over and got her girlfriend and brought her over. And the girlfriend looked at me in tears in her eyes and she said, "Your book saved my life."
There you go.
I said, "What?" She was going to commit suicide. She had suffered domestic abuse and she was going to commit suicide. She read my book and decided not to.
Oh, that is amazing.
That is the biggest award I've ever had for my career in writing.
There you
So,
go.
yeah,
Not only know that you've touched someone, but to touch someone on that level is just
yes.
there it is. That's why we do it.
Yep, that is exactly it. We speak to people. We
Yes.
help them, we entertain them, we love them through our books. So, yeah.
So keep an eye out for Nat Burns's work. If you there's what you said, 14?
17. 17
17.
books out.
17 books.
Yep.
And natburns.com has
Uh-huh.
links
Yep.
and find books. So we are running a little low on time. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
mentioning where to find your books. So if you're looking for that
Yes.
good stocking stuffer in uh, the non-traditional aspects of our genre,
I have
Nat
an Amazon
Explorer.
page.
And
I have an Amazon
you
page.
have your
Just go to
Amazon page.
Amazon, click on Nat Burns.
And of course, your books are available at Bella Books.
Hmm? All of them.
So, oh, yes. So, Nat, thank you so much for doing this. I had a blast.
It was so much fun.
Well, it is fun. And
Yeah.
for those who don't, Nat actually inspired me to do this because she does have a YouTube page that
Yes.
she hasn't used yet. So we're going to encourage her to get out there, that this is okay, that video is your friend.
Yes. Yes. I will try. I will try.
Okay.
2024 New Year's resolution. There you
All
go.
right. All right. Nat, thank you again. And look for
Oh,
Nat Burns books everywhere.
thank you, dear. Take care of yourself. Bye
Bye.
bye.